Something feels off because episode 4 of Marshals doesn't just clear Kayce Dutton, it quietly proves that someone powerful is trying to bury him. And if you really pay attention, this isn't just about the Clegg family anymore. This is bigger than that. We pick up right where episode 3 left off, with that bullet sitting on Casey's doorstep. And what really stands out isn't the threat, it's Casey's reaction. He doesn't panic. He doesn't even look surprised. He just accepts it. Like, this is the life he knows now. And that tells you everything. Kayce isn't reacting anymore. He's anticipating. He's already living in the aftermath of something that hasn't even happened yet. So when Cal shows up with security gear, it doesn't feel dramatic. It feels necessary, almost overdue, because Kayce understands something most people don't. When you carry the Dutton name, enemies don't show up one at a time. They stack up, they wait, and eventually they come for you all at once. And that's exactly what this episode starts setting up, because almost immediately everything begins to close in on him. Randall Clegg files that complaint, claiming Kayce violated his son's civil rights. He paints this picture that Kayce shot an unarmed man. And just like that, the narrative flips. Kayce goes from being the one who stopped a threat to the one being investigated for it. And on paper, it sounds serious. But the more you watch, the more you realize this was never about justice. This was about control. Because the moment Chief Gifford steps into the situation, the tone changes. He's not asking questions to understand what happened. He's steering the investigation towards something specific. He pushes crews to dig deeper into Kayce's past. Not just the incident, but everything. And when he brings up Dutton skeletons, it doesn't land like a warning. It lands like a plan. Like he already knows there's something there. And he just needs someone to find it for him. And that's where the episode gets really smart. Instead of inventing something new, it reaches back into Yellowstone and pulls one of the darkest, most emotional storylines, Tate's kidnapping. Because if you remember that arc, Kayce didn't just act like a father trying to save his son. He turned into something else, something colder, more dangerous. He tracked down the militia. He hunted them. And when he found Teal Beck, he didn't hesitate. He executed him. That wasn't law enforcement. That was vengeance. And now, all of that is being dragged back into the present. Not to understand him, but to judge him. And the truth is, both sides are right in a way. Kayce did cross a line back then, but he also saved his son. That's the complexity of his character. He lives in that gray area. He always has. He protects the people he loves, no matter what it costs. The problem is, systems don't like gray areas. They want clean narratives. And right now, they're trying to turn Kayce into something simple, something they can take down. While all of that is happening, the episode shifts into that mountain rescue mission. And at first, it almost feels like a break from the main story, but it's not. It's actually a reflection of Kayce's internal struggle. You've got Tom Weaver, a man who ran from his past, trying to build something new in Montana, a fresh start, a different life. And whether he realizes it or not, Kayce sees himself in that, because that's what Kayce has been trying to do too. Start over, be something different, but then everything falls apart. The crash, the injuries, the chaos, even the grisly attack, it all feels like the world reminding them that no matter how far you run, you don't escape who you are. And then comes the moment that really matters, when Kayce has to choose, go after the man who just shot at them, or stay and save the life in front of him. And this is where you see the difference. The old Kayce, the one from Yellowstone, he goes after the threat, no hesitation. But this version of Kayce, he stays. He focuses on getting Tom out alive. He puts responsibility over instinct. And it's a quiet moment, but it says a lot, because that's growth. That's someone trying to change. But the problem is, the world around him hasn't caught up to that version of him yet. Back at HQ, the investigation keeps digging. Piece by piece, they're trying to build a story that paints Kayce as unstable, dangerous, someone driven by revenge. And for a moment, it actually feels like it might stick, especially when they start connecting things back to Monica, her past, her connections, the emotional weight she still carries in Kayce's life. It almost becomes the perfect narrative. But then everything flips, and it flips in the simplest way possible. Trail cam footage. And what makes that so interesting is how it ties back to the Clegg family. Earlier in the episode, we learned they've been using wildlife cameras for years, watching everything, tracking movement, staying one step ahead. And in the end, that same system exposes them. The footage shows the truth. The son was armed. Kayce didn't execute anyone. He made a decision in a dangerous moment, and it was justified. Just like that, the entire case collapses. Case is cleared. But it doesn't feel like a win, because even after the truth is right there, Gifford doesn't let it go. He keeps pushing, keeps twisting the narrative, still trying to frame Kayce as the problem. And that's when it really clicks. This isn't about what Kayce did, it's about what he represents. And Cruz finally sees it. Her confrontation with Gifford is subtle, but it changes everything. Because now she understands that the threat isn't just coming from outside forces like the Cleggs, it's inside the system itself. And that's way more dangerous. At the same time, the episode quietly delivers one of its most personal reveals. Cal finally admits the truth about Maddie. She's his daughter. And suddenly, all those awkward moments between them make sense. The tension, the distance, the way she treats him like a stranger. Because to her, that's exactly what he is. A father who wasn't there. And the way the show handles it is what makes it hit harder. There's no big emotional scene, no dramatic confrontation, just the weight of that truth sitting there. Because some relationships don't break loudly. They just fade and stay broken. And then we come back to Kayce, because for the first time in a while, something shifts. He shows up at the saloon, and that alone feels different. Like he's trying, in his own way, to reconnect with the world around him. And he doesn't come alone. Dolly is there, and the moment is simple, easy. There's a little bit of humor, a little bit of curiosity, something light in a story that's been pretty heavy. And yeah, it feels like the beginning of something. But if you really look at Kayce, it's complicated because everything about him still carries Monica. She's still part of every decision, every memory, every accusation thrown his way. So even if this connection with Dolly turns into something more, it's not going to be simple. It's going to be layered, messy, because Kayce isn't just moving forward. He's carrying everything with him. And then there's one last detail that feels small, but probably isn't. That man in the mountains. At first, he just seems like another threat, another obstacle. But then we learn who he really is. Rudy Carpenter, a bomber. And characters like that don't just show up for one episode. That's a setup, which means everything we're seeing right now, the investigation, the Cleggs, the internal tension, it's all building toward something bigger. Because in the end, this episode isn't really about clearing Kayce. It's about showing us the battlefield. You've got the Clegg family pushing from one side, Gifford working from inside the system, and Kayce stuck in the middle, trying to hold on to some version of himself that hasn't completely crossed the line again. He might be cleared, but he's not safe, not even close, because the gathering storm isn't about what just happened, it's about what's coming next. And if this episode proved anything, it's that Kayce Dutton can survive the truth, but the system around him, that might be the thing that finally breaks him. Thank you for watching.